Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. Thank you very much for staying tuned. We're talking with Mr. Michael Chastanet, and let's talk about the economy. This is something I'm sure that you are very familiar with the economy. You're a major part of our local economy. As you mentioned earlier on, Super J, the chain of Super J's supermarkets, employs 1,300 people, and that's a lot of employment for our local economy. Where do you see our economy right now?
Okay. You know, let's backtrack a bit. 35, 40 years ago, you had a banana industry. You're shipping like 10,000 tons of bananas a week, and everybody, money was rolling, okay? That no longer exists today, okay? But like every other business I've been in, it changes. There's a book which says, the cheese has moved. So the cheese has moved. But we must not lie down and play dead. Now, they talk of diversification. There is a level of diversification already in St. Lucia, because if one goes down to the market 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock, you'll be shocked to see the amount of food that comes down. But it's enough for the local people, but not enough to do everything. You can't eat dasheen, yam, and plantain only. You have to do other things, okay? So I talk from experience. When I look at our import bill and I see it, say at CFL alone, we bring 250 containers a month. Can you imagine how much foreign exchange that represents? Okay? There are, no matter how you talk of diversification, there has to be at least one or two hard crops that people have to focus on. You see, bananas were successful because they knew it could be sold and they could get their money for it. I still think, though many people disagree with me, that bananas still has a contribution to make to the islands, because you not only sell bananas to England. Antigua has nothing, St. Kitts has nothing, okay? Trinidad, all of them will buy tons of bananas, okay? So that's one aspect. The other aspect is, what are we going to plant? You have these people, Hotel Chocolat, who have been begging St. Lucians for that. Plant cocoa. They will buy all the cocoa you want. They even brought in a plant that within 3.5 years, when you plant it, it will bear cocoa. We need to do that. 3.5 years goes very quickly, okay? So we have to, as a nation, start, even though that we don't supply everything we need, but we must be able to export to get the foreign exchange. People don't understand. You cannot buy medication. You cannot buy cement. You cannot buy lumber. You cannot buy all the nice things without foreign exchange. We, unlike the US and Europe and UK, we cannot print money. All the money that we spend has to be accounted for at our central bank. You have to have foreign exchange there to balance off what you spend. So your hands are tied. So you have to be very, very cautious. And it's a tough business right now. And you know, even take the tourism business. As good as it is, okay, it's extremely competitive. Many hoteliers on island may think, well, you know, one hotel is cheaper than the other or more expensive. But these are not our competitors. Our competitors are right in the Dominican Republic. There's a little place called Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, where the government gave this guy a private airfield and some lands around there. This guy has 600 flights a week. 600 flights from all over Germany, everywhere else, okay? But he is blessed in the fact because you have a lot of cattle, you have a lot of food, so food is cheap in the Dominican Republic, okay? But right now here, in not only Central, but the entire Caribbean, we have to start thinking outside the box. The days of simply doing things the old-fashioned way are not going to work. Now you take St. Lucia, for instance. St. Lucia is a beautiful island, okay? And there are areas that can be built upon, and I know the Prime Minister is probably working very hard at it. It's difficult, and he probably is being overcautious now, the way he does things, because people have blamed him for incidents which have taken place in the past, and I can't blame the guy at his age. He's in his third or fourth term, he doesn't want to rock the boat. But you can't run a country like that. There are things that can be done. I'll give you one example, or two examples. You have down where the Coast Guard station is, you have 18.5 acres of land there lying idle. A new Point Seraphim should be built there right away. You go down to a place like Trinidad, 3 rich Trinidadians have more money than the St. Lucia government. You bring those people here, give incentives, because if you don't give incentives, nothing happens. You give incentives and you create a stimulus and you get people to work. Take the Latok Road. It's falling apart. You can sheet pile that whole stuff and get 2 cruise ship berths. So there'll be 3 extra berths. When a cruise ship comes in and stays outside, only 10% of the people land. The others stay on board. Okay? So for that only, you need to develop that. Take Viewfort. John Compton always thought that was a new frontier. These things take time. When I was chairman of NDC, the Prime Minister and Dr. Anthony was very good to me, very cooperative, okay? And he allowed me to do a number of things. But, you know, I always know my place in life. I was not the Prime Minister of the country, so I would not want to do things in a big way. And one thing I regret not doing, and Dr. Anthony would allow me to have done it if I wanted, I brought in some Trinidadians to do a marina in the south. The sea was a bit too rough, but what I should have done, just around the Black Bay, is a big swamp, exactly what Sir John Compton, dig out that swamp, do a marina, and let it grow. The other thing I would have done, I should have built a medical school type of thing to accommodate 2,000-3,000 students. I was in Grenada recently. Grenada has 7,000 students year-round.
St. George's, huh?
Portsmouth has 1,800 students. St. Kitts has 800. St. Kitts, Antigua has 700. These are people staying on island all the time, renting homes. People, so it gives light to a construction industry. And these are the things we have to do. We have to take the bull by the horn. And I think we have to support Dr. Anthony, push him to do those things here. We must get outside and start to do those things differently.
Now, did we miss the boat on that? Is it too late, or, you know,
no, it's not too late.
Coming in right now?
No, it's not too late. It's not too late. I think what Dr. Anthony has to do now, in all honesty, I know he has a team he just got in. Dr. Anthony needs to take 4 or 5, it doesn't have to be Michael Chasse. There are good business people around, okay? A lot of people are hearing what I'm saying tonight. There could be, maybe it could be done differently. But this is the direction that we must take in St. Lucia now. We have to stimulate the company because St. Lucia is asleep now. And through no fault of his. You have, as we just discussed earlier, the international community has their problems. I would say, my prediction is that by December, America will be well out of the recession, okay? But the same way it took us a year to fall in, it takes you a year to get back. So we're not going to see anything before another year and a half, okay? But, you know, prepare yourself. Another thing we have to do, Clinton, is that all these jobs that we have abroad at the various embassies, I'm told, subject to correction, it costs the St. Lucia government $36 million a year to maintain those places. Personally, I would say we need to take a sabbatical on those things. There are enough St. Lucians living in New York, London, who are well qualified, and you give these people, make them an honorary council. You make them an honorary council. And you say, you go and you go to our meetings first, you brief them, so you don't have to pay house rent. You don't have to pay salaries. Because if you give a St. Lucian living a diplomatic passport, okay, you elevate the guy. And he knows the area. He knows who to talk to and who to call. The other thing we have to do is that we must get hold of a lobbyist in Washington. You know, and you say to the guy, look, you bring a business down here, I'll give you so much % on what it is. Because you listen to the news, right? Look at, what's his name, Mr. Obama trying to pass the gun bill. Lobbyists are blocking him. The National Rifles Association have their friends there, and that's how business works in those countries. So when you're in Rome, you have to live, when you're in Rome, you live like a Roman, okay? And this is, so that's why I keep telling Dr. Anthony, he has to think outside the box. Or else, because we have to move. We're not moving. And these are things that they simply have to be done.
So do you think that politics, or partisan politics, I don't want to say politics in general, but partisan politics is stymieing our growth, our advancement, our development?
Definitely. We play too much politics in St. Lucia.
And how can that change, though?
Boy, Clinton, I have always said, you have elections, and elections can be heated. But once you go to the polls and the people have their 5 years, we need to work with the people. Because if you go and you try to tear them down, that's 5 years wasted, okay? The last government did some good things. They had their difficulties, but they did a lot of good things, yeah? I mean, one thing, look at Serenity Park. I just take as an example, it's beautiful, okay? So let us put that nonsense behind us and work with us, okay? And work with whichever government is in power. It is our country, yeah. But you see, but I think in all those islands, not only St. Lucia, we play too much politics. And unless you can get out of that nonsense, we ain't going nowhere.
Now, I was thinking today that, I mean, you don't see that partisan divide in the U.S. or in the bigger countries. In the U.S., your name is not even known. You're identified by a number. Yeah. And the number doesn't say whether you're red, yellow, whether you're black, white, whether you're blue or whatever, whether you're elephant or you're donkey, But here, politics seem to be seeping into everything, every aspect of life, every facet. Politics. How can we
get over it?
Yeah. How can we do that? How can we nip that? How can we put a stop to it, or curb it even a little bit?
If I was a prime minister tomorrow, one of the ways I would try to do it, I would be very, what's the word should I use now? Can't come to grips with the word, but meaning I would embrace everybody genuinely, not hypocritically, genuinely. I mean, show people. For instance, you hear on the radio station, so many people have lost their jobs because they were labor fellas, they were UWPs, and they put. I don't think that should be done. You see, because as somebody said here, when the government made an announcement that they'll create jobs, as somebody said, making jobs by replacement is not producing jobs, it's exchanging jobs. Create new jobs for people, right? And I think they should embrace even, okay, I can understand that a supporter of the party and they have to give them a job, but really and truly, they should not break away all. They should try to work with the guys. And in fact, to their own benefit, because a guy who was UWP, if you treat him well, you bring him over. Look at Mr. Obama, what he's doing there. The people he's brought into his cabinet, okay? He's taken a Republican now as the Minister of Defense. They tried to block it. And it has worked for him, okay? And I know America's a big country, but it's the same philosophy. We have to go ahead that road.
Well, what they say is that when the industrialized world sneezes, we catch a cold. And no greater example than 2008, when everything, the economy was going south. Yeah. We did not feel it yet because it's a trickle down.
Correct.
It takes a little time.
That's right.
But now we're experiencing it when we see America rising. Yeah. I mean, what advice would you give to St. Lucians, considering the way that we lived, knowing that the big countries were going through economic turmoil. Some of them, America, for example, did not see that
coming.
Well, the last time they saw that was in the 1930s.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, we are sort of in a slightly different situation here because America has a good manufacturing base. It has a lot of raw materials, and the mistakes they made were really man-made, okay? And when you have those, you can counteract those mistakes. You can get off. But we are not blessed with all those natural resources. Yet we have some. Look at, for instance, I met some people from the UK who want to assist St. Lucia. And I just told them recently, hey, we have the thermal energy situation in Soufrière, right? And the well has been sunk there for years. Okay? We need to get somebody, because the millions or billions of dollars we're sending away on fuel every year. Look at our light bills and everything else. So if you can get that thing going, I mean, that's a plus. By June this year, Dominica will be one-third of their power coming from thermal energy in Dominica. Yeah. In 4 years' time, they're planning to sell us energy. And we have the same thing here. Why aren't we doing it? We need to push those things. We have to get people seriously off the ground to just imagine, Clinton, if you can just get that thermal plant going and people to move to cocoa quickly in 4 years' time. See, it goes quickly, you know. You could all of a sudden change the whole modus operandi of this country, you know, and then people will feel better about themselves. Right now, you know, people are strunting, you know. A lot of the small people, shop owners are dying, you know, because the thing is this, that as the VAT came in, there's nothing wrong with VAT, you know, but the thing is this, that when you rent to a person who has a little shop, you have to add the VAT. And what landlords are having to do now is actually to pay the government for that and reduce their rent because they can't pay it, you know. So, you know, it's all a question of cost at this time. And, you know, if you take 40, 50, 60 people here in St. Lucia and they lose their shops, I mean, another 4 people depend on them, you know. And there's so many little things to me that can be done. I drive around Castries every day, and I'm asking myself a question, and I'm going to ask you, why on God's earth have we still got the fire station there after all these years? Full of rats, right? Serving no purpose at all. I've said repeatedly, why don't you just tear this thing down, put some barber green, and get a nice small steel structure, temporary, cover it nice, and put 50 vendors there, because they'll be self-employed. If you take the customs, that building going right down to 600 feet, it's been closed for something like 12 years. There's nothing in it. And it's empty. And I said repeatedly, give it a coat of paint, put 40 doors temporarily, and let 40 vendors go there. They're building those little shacks on the sidewalk. You know what I'm talking about, the customs. Ask yourself a question. What is a sidewalk? A side to walk on.
Yes.
That's what a sidewalk means. Why are you blocking a sidewalk with these ugly things, okay? And you can put these things nicely. And I'm not saying that, because these are people who have children and they have to send them to school. Another thing is the port. I've said in the last 20 years, why do we have containers in the heart of Castries? We have 250 acres of land in Cul-de-sac, which government owns for 20 years, owned by the NIS. Take 5 acres, backfill it properly, concrete it. It only takes 8 minutes to drive a truck from Port Castries to Cul-de-sac. All the containers should be there, and put a little customs down there to examine the baggage, you know what I mean, and take your stuff away. Half of the containers are empty. You go to the Mon and you look at the port, it's like half the town is a port. I mean, you have taxi, minibuses all about the place, okay? Where by the Banana Association building. That's a metal building. Unscrew that building, take it out, put it on a little quarter-acre of land in Cul-de-sac, give it a nice coat of paint, and have that for the banana farmers. And that whole Prince Alfred Basin there, you just cast one slab, so just 2 floors, the ground and one, and you can take 500 either minibuses, and then there's a little bridge behind Coconut Growers there that they let fall down, a little Bailey bridge. You put that back, open that street, and everybody shoots out from there. These are just little things. You don't need a genius or anybody to come and tell you and these things should be done. And the Prime Minister should just get some business people to come and say, hey guys, he has the power to do it. I want that done, okay? I'll give you all an incentive. Get this damn thing done.
Wonderful. Mike Chastanet with us. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take your calls and we'll continue our discussions with him on business, politics, the economy, all these issues and more. Stay with us.